Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody. Welcome to Films in Black and White, everybody.
Hello.
How are you all feeling? We are so thrilled to be with y'all on a fantastic Monday. Hope everyone out there is doing well and enjoying yourselves. Because we got some exciting things to talk about. We got a little bit of fantasy, a little bit of fall preview, a little bit of news sprinkled in there. So kind of all over the place. So it's a good day. But in order to do this right, and in order to make sure that we have the whole gang here, I need to kick it on over to one Marcus J. Destin. Marcus, how you feeling?
Hi, Mom. No, it's a great it's a great Monday. I'm always excited to get to Wednesday. And so
Okay.
I mean Wednesday. It's a great Monday. I'm already excited to get to
We're
the
all
end
excited
of
for
my
hump day, but
yeah. Hump day is the day you get your hump on. But I'm always excited to get to the end of Monday because just for the pod. So I'm feeling really good. I feel like this pod is gonna feel up in the air because we had like a audible, like an Omaha moment.
oh yeah, no, we definitely had an audible.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
nonetheless, I'm excited to be here.
Let's just put it this way: we collectively boycotted our original choice.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's important to give you a peek behind the curtain here.
Yeah.
We all said like, okay, yeah, Pinocchio, easy enough. And then the sooner it got to the time we would all, watch it, we all were like, absolutely not. And I cannot remember another time that we've done it like this. Like,
No.
we've had scheduling conflicts, we've had whatever, but like all three of us having the time and energy to be like, absolutely not. So anyway. Like you already know Pinocchio's bad, and I don't think any one of our jokes could have saved our time with
it.
Absolutely
Not at all. No, absolutely not.
Like,
But anyway, but I'm glad you're here. I too am excited that it is Monday. But we also need to make sure that one Brian Roush is thoroughly welcomed and included. So Brian Roush, how you feeling?
Hello, I'm feeling good. I'm recovering from a little bit of a bug, so if my energy's a little bit off, that's why. But I'm here and I'm ready to talk about movies, which makes me joyful, as well as seeing Doug and Marcus. Also, what made me joyful was that I logged on to the internet. I just realized
to Al Gore's internet.
Al Gore's internet.
Dial up AOL.com. No, so I logged online and there was like an article about Atlanta, and I was like, oh yeah, like the last season was good, and then it was like season 4 starts with, and I was like, excuse me, so Atlanta's back, by the way. Which
this is the final season. This is the final season.
Yeah. Like it's on Hulu, I'm pretty sure. Like there's already 2 episodes. So anyway, that brought me joy today too. I just wanted to share that, but totally out of left field. Just I don't feel like it was marketed at all. So anyway,
the weird thing about Atlanta is I feel like that's been its greatest strength. Is like if it's on, you know it's on. Like if you're a fan of Atlanta and you've been watching it, you know when Atlanta comes back.
That's
and like I'm really not surprised that they only did 4 seasons of the show. I'll be honest with you. I'm surprised that they got to 4 because it's such a unique show. And like Donald Glover. Yeah.
Donald Glover.
Yeah, Donald Glover.
We love him.
Not Danny.
We love Donald Glover.
Donald Glover has such a unique mind, man. I'm surprised he went for 4 seasons because how unique it is. But
he does it. He definitely has like his brain just kind of looks at stuff differently, which I appreciate. So he's out there for sure.
Yeah. But Douglas.
Go ahead, Doug. Tell us how you are.
Good. Yeah, doing great. Had a good weekend. My wife and my children were out of town this weekend, so because I had things on Friday and we didn't have school on. Well, the kids didn't have school on Friday, so I got to sort of single life it here at home, which means I got to kind of do what I want, which usually means that I watched a lot of TV and movies. Had a chance to finally watch The Northman
how
which
was that?
outstanding. I
Excellent.
really enjoyed that. Like
That's really
it was
great.
very much my shit though. Like it is all like Viking, like it's very Viking heavy. There's a lot of moments where it's like weird imagery
I love it.
and
Mm.
yeah, very much very like burly dudes with beards
Yeah.
just beating the shit out of each other is basically
Anya
the best
Taylor
way to
Joy's in
describe it.
that too, isn't she?
She absolutely is in that. Yep, she
Huh.
absolutely is in that. She's in that. It feels like it was a very much a unique take on the Beowulf story. Like it feels like that's what it was. It was kind of like
Oh.
Okay.
like it was adapted from that. But I mean,
The epic poem of Beowulf.
not
There you go.
not to like, I'm not gonna give anything away, but let's just put it this way: two people have a fight on the side of a volcano, and that's how the movie ends. I will give
Well,
nothing else away, but if that tells
mean,
you, it's very much my shit.
I
so.
love Star Wars: Revenge of the Sith, so
Yeah.
I'm obviously
Yeah,
gonna
very
watch
much
this.
I almost rewatched that shit this weekend. I was so
It's a
close.
good.
Yeah.
It's a good. Where did you watch this, Doug?
Well, that's the fun story. So, well,
Oh.
maybe not. I have to be careful how I describe fun stories because
Yeah,
they're
because
not always,
Doug's fun story.
they're not
Doug's
always
fun stories
fun
are
stories.
not that fun when they
Yeah.
almost include death sometimes. So
Oh,
we
There
just
are
have to-
times where I go, "Hey, funny story! I almost died," and then
Did you
but
have
that's-
to sword fight someone on the side of a volcano?
In a way, that was more of like a
Himself.
spiritual battle. Yeah, it was more of a battle
Wow.
with myself. That is maybe a
Okay.
story for the Patreon because that's gonna
Yeah,
derail us
baby.
down a whole
Yeah.
thing.
Okay.
So,
All right. I have no
so
idea what I'm getting
yeah.
into
that's some
here.
premium
Yeah.
Patreon
Mhm,
content.
mhm.
All right,
Maybe we
sounds
get that
good.
at the end of the podcast today to put
Yeah.
on Patreon. Yeah.
Yeah, so anyway, so I had this choice. I was like, I really want to watch something I haven't seen before. And the
Yeah.
problem is if I log into HBO Max or if I log into Netflix or if I not log into Hulu, I'm gonna go to my favorites. Like I'm gonna go to the stuff that
Okay.
I've seen before. I'm less
Okay.
likely to take a risk. So I kind of looked at Peacock out of the corner of my eye.
Look at you.
And like when I was a younger man and there were people at the other end of the bar and I was like,
Younger man.
I'm not sure. I kind of
Right.
kept like looking at it out of the corner of my eye.
Yeah.
But what I did is I ended up doing this evaluation. It was $4.99 for a month subscription to Hulu. Renting
Okay.
a movie would have been $3.99. So in my
Okay.
mind, I was like $1 more, and I could in theory watch like 4 movies. Like that's
Makes sense to
the
me.
cost benefit analysis I had in my
see
head.
what you're saying now.
So
Okay.
I watched it via Peacock.
Okay.
And then the next morning, as I was kind of doing like chores around the house, like
Yeah.
cleaning up, vacuuming, stuff like that, I had Beetlejuice on, which was
Oh,
on
yeah,
Peacock.
fun.
So like I watched that, but so yeah, I watched it on Peacock, but that's how I
Okay.
got there. So yeah,
Okay.
not bad,
Well, good.
not bad. I mean, if I really want to go down the Office rabbit hole now, I can. But I
Get
kept
that
telling
zen.
myself, like, no.
Yeah.
And y'all, you need to understand. So Peacock's very interesting in the sense that like you select a movie you want to watch. And then they bring you to this loading screen where a commercial plays on one end at the very beginning.
Oh my gosh.
And then on the side is Office trivia. Like, and I shit you not, it's Office trivia, which is insane to me. I am also Roman. Yes, I am. So for those who are listening and maybe not watching, Roman's asking if I am a soccer fan. I am indeed a soccer fan. So, but I feel like I'm not aware of what's going on in the Premier League, so I didn't watch any games on that front. But yeah, so that was a little bit of my weekend and what I got into. So
I think that's a crock of bullshit. Peacock is relying on Office that hard. I feel like that's
flabbergasted.
weird.
I mean,
I just feel like I know fandoms. I get that it has a very cult following, kind of like Friends. Although I hate Friends.
I know. Yeah, that's fair.
Just Seinfeld. Seinfeld has a very unique kind of cult audience. Like you either like me, you don't. I've never seen anybody in the middle of Seinfeld to be like, you know what? I'll watch it. It's either people turn that shit off like me. Seinfeld was just not a show for me.
That's fair.
You know,
it's very much it's very much my jam. But
yes,
that's because
I know you like it
because I like comedies about people who are terrible doing things that are universally not accepted by society. So like Seinfeld's one of my favorite. It's Always Sunny is always my favorite. It's people just being assholes for the sake of being assholes.
And that is not how I interpret that show at all, but that is fascinating. We could probably
Brian,
have a whole other episode about that.
We absolutely could have. I would love to do an episode, and I would love to do an episode to get like either my wife or a friend's like apologist on here. Because Brittany is an avid Friends fanatic, and there are
Oh,
moments of it where
I
like
mean-
there are moments I
I
tell her,
miss
I'm
it.
like, the first 5 seasons are fine. I said season 7 and 8 I cannot stand because it just
I think
drags
that's
on.
universal though, right?
Yeah.
That's a universal
I mean,
feeling
that's
about
Big Bang Theory. I
Yes.
mean,
Oh, oh.
you know, which I would say is more heinous. Again, this is for
I
another
don't like-
podcast.
Yes,
but
it is
I mean,
absolutely.
Big Bang Theory is the most heinous of like the wring everything out of this.
Have
the
you-
worst the biggest enemy of a good TV show is time. And I think this does tie into like
That's a
what we
great
just talked
point.
about with Atlanta. Like Atlanta's
I love
doing
it.
4 seasons. It knows it like it kind of knew when it would be over. It's not pushing
That's
the
true.
envelope too far. It's
Yeah.
not overstaying its welcome. But the biggest enemy of any good program or any good show
Yes.
is it running too
Time.
long.
Yep.
Yes.
I mean,
Even
you
my
see that
dear
with
and
movies,
beloved
too.
Battlestar Galactica, which is only 4
Yeah.
seasons, ran too long.
Smallville ran. It probably should have been done around season 6.
Yep.
Or I'll even say 5. But
Yeah.
once you get to like 8 or is it 10? I can't even remember how many seasons they just did, but it gets really wonky in there. Like
Well,
you lose the main characters, or some stay, some actors want to move on. It gets weird.
Even like your like more animated shows like Simpsons, Family Guy, South Park, they all have seasons in
Oh,
there
man.
right around when they get around like
It
for
gets
South Park it's seasons like 15 through 18 are just like I don't know what the fuck is happening here.
I will defend Family Guy because I feel like they
Okay.
have been consistent.
Okay. Fair.
Family Guy and The Simpsons know their
Shtick.
They know their thing. They
Yeah.
have a template. They will follow it, and they understand. You like if you're watching those kind of shows, you know why you're there. So that's
a very fair
and
point.
that's fine. And
That's
I
a
feel
very
like
fair
that's
point.
fine.
Very point.
I'm also a Family Guy fan. So
that's true. But
there's
Right
that.
on.
yeah. But gentlemen, we have a very exciting segment. So
All right.
we're gonna play Catch That Quotable.
But
Yeah, the best soundtrack ever comes unique from Marcus every week.
yeah.
But this week it is going to be Catch That Quotable with a twist. And
With
the
an
twist
excellent.
and the twist this week is that we are going to be playing the first installment of Chris's Impossible Movie Challenge.
Dun, 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 dun.
You should have told me. I would have done some fan.
No,
We
it's
didn't
okay.
even think
We didn't even plan it out,
that
to be honest.
was moments where Mark and I both decided to do
Just
improv at the exact
connected.
same moment.
Yeah.
So Chris has issued us a challenge. If we can get these 10 quotes correct,
Yeah.
then and they have to be all 10. We didn't discuss a prorated option. Then Chris will donate $100 total to a charity of our choosing.
Wow.
And what we've also learned from Roman is that there is a Films in Black and White discount double down because we have a chance to earn some of Roman's millions also with Chris's Impossible Movie
Absolutely
Challenge. So there's
incredible.
Roman's millions. God, that graphic is just fucking awesome. I love that. So for those who are not watching the Patreon, you are missing out. So gentlemen, are you ready?
No,
Okay.
Listen, an Impossible Movie Challenge, and it
okay.
makes me nervous because if you miss at one, like, damn.
Yeah.
I
you
mean,
do. Yeah.
Look, I'm nervous, but you know what? You grow at the edge of your comfort zone. So let's
Damn,
do
that's
this.
true.
Okay, well, fuck it. Let's get to it.
That's very true.
That's all
So-
I needed, Brian. You got me.
Gentlemen, are you ready? Put that on a shirt. Roman said in the chat, put that on a shirt for those that are not watching. Getting some feedback from Marcus in the chat. Oh, so from Roman in the chat. So,
Thanks,
are you ready
Roman.
for this week's quote?
Let's do it.
Get it.
Okay. Would you like some bourbon in that, Father? Well, my doctor says I shouldn't, but thank God my will is weak. He's laughing because he has to realize that maybe none of us know who this is.
I mean,
Let's do it again. Read it
Okay.
again.
Would you like some bourbon in that, Father? Well, my doctor says I shouldn't, but thank God my will is weak. So let's
all right.
So
let's break it down.
Let's break it down. There's a priest involved,
Yes.
right? No one's gonna say, "Do you want some bourbon in that, Father?" without that being a priest. So this is a movie with a priest in it, like and a priest in a obviously some type of you bring them into my home type of situation, right? Because you're not gonna offer some random priest bourbon. It's obviously not a comedy because this sounds like a little bit of a serious moment. So I'm interpreting it as a serious movie with a priest. That is all that I have that I am pulling from this.
You said priest, and I immediately went to Scary Movie for some reason because it feels
Okay.
like a cheap one-liner that from Scary Movie, but
I'm
that's
gonna,
I don't know.
this feels too smart for Scary Movie, with all due
Yeah.
respect to Scary Movie fans, which I am one.
Do they need
Yes, as am
respect?
I. What was it? Scary Movie 2 was based
No,
off
I'm
of
not
The
even talking.
Exorcist?
I'm not even talking 1 and 2. I'm talking more 3 and 4 when they get kind
Oh,
of
okay.
wonky.
Okay.
Oh man, Mary J. Blige shows up in
Oh.
3, I'm pretty sure, as a
I'm pretty sure
cameo.
Anthony
Yes, she
Anderson.
does.
Yeah.
But was it 2 or 3 that they did the Andy Richter, like they did the spin-off of The Exorcist? And the
That
only
was,
thing I
2.
remember I
think it was
remember
2.
vivid from that
That was
is
2.
your mother's in here with us, Father. And he goes, Mom, get out of there. And she goes, you're no fun. And he takes off. That is the only thing that it's the way she said you're no fun that I
Scary
thought was
Movie
Yeah.
2
hilarious.
is better than Scary Movie 1, but
So
that's
we
think it
have
was-
no idea what this
Yeah.
quote is
No.
from.
No, and Chris is not here to
Uh,
give us a hint.
He's not.
That's okay. I mean, that's okay. That's
Okay,
okay.
so how about this? Since Chris is not here to make the rules, we usually
just
do
gonna make 'em
hints.
up.
Right. So Doug, how about this? You search the movie, quote,
Okay.
and then you give us the hint for me and Brian to go one more round of guessing. Or Brian can search it up if he would like to.
Here's the
would
thing,
like to
though.
go.
I don't know. Go ahead.
I'm not 100% confident, but I do feel like this is The Exorcist. And the only
Okay.
reason why is I'm
Okay.
putting all of these in is because 1, it does have that vibe. 2, we're close to spooky season for those who are not
That's
strict
true.
for those who are not strict Halloween rule followers like myself.
Yeah,
We
very
are
close to
close to
spooky.
spooky season. So month and a
You-
half
You
away.
You're
can't
no
put it in
fun.
quotations if it is spooky season. It is
But
indeed
It
spooky
is.
season.
But the other reason why is that like there's something like deep in my gut that gives me
Okay.
that vibe.
If we
Okay.
learned anything on this pod in this segment, it's sometimes like last week with Wonder, you just have to go with your fucking gut.
Sometimes
So
you do.
I trust you.
That's
yeah.
okay.
I'm willing to
mean-
go Exorcist.
Okay, because once I look it up, the cat's out
Brian?
of the bag.
Brian?
The only other movie I wanted to mention was this weird movie I saw a lot of previews for called Keeping the Faith. And it was starring Ben
Okay.
Stiller, Jenna Elfman, Ed Norton, and like basically this priest and a rabbi were competing over this woman.
Here's-
So I'm just gonna enter that. I'm just gonna enter
Here's
that.
the rule that
don't
I will.
know.
Here's what I
Okay,
think we should
okay,
do. I think
alright.
we should take the Roman Myers rules, which is we all get a guess.
The spread.
I think we should. Yeah, I
We'll
do
run the
agree. We
spread.
should spread it.
We'll
Yeah,
run the
yeah,
spread.
I agree.
So we'll go Keeping the Faith is
Keeping the
Brian's.
Faith.
I'm gonna
Yep.
go with The Exorcist. Marcus.
I can't think of another priest movie outside of. I
That's
don't watch a
okay.
lot of movies with a priest outside of Scary Movie, so I'm gonna say Scary Movie franchise. I don't know if I have to be specific about the Scary Movie.
Chris did indicate in his Impossible Movie Challenge that you do have to be specific.
Okay,
It's a butterscotch soda rule.
I'm
It
gonna say
is-
B. I'm.
It is
I'm
the
gonna say.
butterscotch soda
I'm
rule.
gonna say Scary Movie 2.
All
Okay.
right.
Okay.
Okay.
Y'all
All right.
on this goddamn butterscotch soda shit.
We
It's
can't.
so
we
funny
can't
to
let it
me.
go.
It's
We
too
really can't.
funny. It's too funny.
What a
Okay.
classic moment on the pod, man.
Okay.
Gunpowder milkshake to butterscotch.
But I was so close to the goddamn.
I
I
mean,
was,
it's pretty close, but
Ladies and gentlemen, this is The Exorcist from
Oh, no
1973. Yeah, holy shit. I pulled that out of fucking nowhere, but goddamn. So yeah, so this is The
Incredible.
Exorcist. This
Wow.
is
incredible.
yep,
Wow.
There you go.
And
Okay.
the crowd goes
God
so
damn.
one impossible challenge is
Well,
down.
here's the
Well,
thing: we've
you know
got
what?
one impossible challenge down, and
got the-
then we've also got money from Roman's Millions as well.
Romans Millions.
So we've got an instantaneous win, and we have a
Wow.
journey on the way.
Wow.
We do. We're gonna have to pick a charity at some point in time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we should probably do some.
We just got
pre-pro
money
about
racking
that.
up, and everybody's like, "Yeah,
Yeah. We don't
Yeah,
wanna
sure,
treat
a
it like-
nonprofit. Okay,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
we should select
route-
one. And if
the-
any of our
the
listeners
rest
have
of the nonprofit.
suggestions,
Yes.
or good places for this
Absolutely.
money to go, please tweet us
Absolutely.
at our handle films in B_W. You can find us on TikTok, Films in Black and White.
There you go, Marcus.
Um,
Sharing
so,
the socials.
We're also on Facebook. So
I
anywhere,
don't have
drop
that
us a
one.
line.
It's the same.
Or if you
Anywhere.
know any of us personally, follow our socials or just shoot us a DM wherever you know us
Yes.
personally from too. Also works.
Yes.
Because Doug and I did over the pandemic, we did donate to Black Lunch Table.
We did.
That's right.
The Black
we
Lunch
did.
Table organization
Yep.
once. So
Yep.
we have donated to an organization. So don't think that we're just laughing like we're just gonna take the money. We aren't.
No.
If you know good places out there, please let us know.
For sure.
No, we're
for sure,
happy to share that on socials as well too.
Yep. Cool.
Yeah. All right. That's exciting
that's-
because
hey.
I mean we're up to like $40+ now
At this point, yeah, we're
right.
moving right along. So we've
All
got
right.
that makes an impact. So, gentlemen, we do have some news as well as some fall preview and Rings of Power to get into, but I did want to kick it all on over to any of you all with just any news updates from the three of you of things that you might want to discuss.
There's rumors. I don't know if we
Okay.
want to do rumors or we want to do news. Y'all let me know.
Rumors are fine.
Why don't you do a rumor and then I have one news.
Okay, love that because the news week has been kind of slow today. There's two. I'll do two pieces. The Super Pets is coming to HBO Max. I think in a week, in 7 days, maybe Friday.
Okay.
It's
quick.
It seemed that's what I thought too. But so Super Pets will be coming out very very soon. On HBO Max. In fact, it will come out September the 26th on streaming platform.
That is next week.
Wow,
that's
like less than 2 months from the July release, right?
Yeah.
I feel like DC is.
What they say, 45 days?
Yeah, so it must have stuck to that 45th day. Yeah. The other thing is there was a rumor going around that has kind of doubled itself down, which I feel like at this point might be true because there's a pattern that I noticed. There's one person in particular that keeps popping up at Marvel events. And I don't think it's because he's got a new movie coming out. It's director Ryan Coogler. Okay. And Ryan Coogler has been around Kevin Feige on stage and in different situations that I've noticed more. And it didn't have anything necessarily to do with Black Panther in my eyes. So if the rumor is that Ryan Coogler is one of the directors that is being looked at to direct Avengers Secret Wars.
Interesting.
That would be a great fit, I think.
I mean, looking at Wakanda Forever, and I think looking at his track record, well, I'll say this loosely, very loosely, in my personal opinion, but he has a style that is very much unique and it's more serious and it's more.
Yes.
It's not. I don't want to say goofy, but it definitely lends itself more to a serious journey as opposed to something that may be more Taika Waititi. Kind of a Thor, Love and Thunder. It's not like very bright neon colors or anything like that. Its tone just feels very different. And I just want to say I support that 1000% because I just feel like
I have any issue with it.
I don't know how well he could handle that many heroes or the storyline of Secret Wars, depending on how you go about it.
Yeah.
But there's some sauce he brings to that. So I just kind of want to see what y'all thought and how you felt about it.
I mean, I love it.
Hold on, sorry. From Roman, I think you are at $80.
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
So never mind.
So next week, I'm committing next week that we will at least have some options for nonprofit orgs for us to select from. Not that we will have one decided. Not committing to
the
that.
Ship doesn't move that fast.
I made that mistake with Roman and making him coffee. I owe him a Keurig.
And Roland Marcus with his shirt. So there's that.
At least I have a design to put on the shirt now.
That's true. That's true.
Look, all I'm saying is that we will have some nonprofit orgs in the discussion. Maybe our listeners can help us choose. So we'll see. To your point about Ryan Coogler, though, I mean, like the guy. I mean, Fruitvale Station, Creed, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. I mean, the guy. Black Panther's the lightest thing he's done, and that movie had like maybe 5 jokes, and that is not a critique. Like Black Panther is a good movie. And so
they were cringy jokes though, but yes.
I mean, like 1 or 2 were, but like I also know that the target audience for this is like people that can get into a PG-13 movie. So I understand the broad appeal. So I don't mind these big budget flicks knowing like, hey, we got to pay some bills here for the kids. Here's a funny joke. Moving on.
Did he write that too?
I'm happy to look at that real quick here.
Because
yes, he wrote it.
Okay, because that's
incredible.
That I think is going to be important to whomever they decide needs to do Secret Wars. Is I think whoever ends up helming that is going to have some writing input put into it as well.
I mean,
and since I really think that story is gonna with a hot mess that is Secret Wars, whether it's the first iteration or the second,
Right.
you're gonna have to have some organization story wise and to have a clear line through
Man.
it. And clearly he knows how to write and then put that image that he put onto paper out into the world. So I think he could definitely handle it. I do think he's going to have a strong writing partner for it. Like, I don't know if he could do Secret Wars all by himself. And that's not any dig at the man. That's just a statement of how complicated Secret Wars
I
is.
mean,
So I don't think that I don't think that that's a problem. I think it's just something to consider.
I do think it goes to your point, though, Marcus, that if Secret Wars is going to be this somber victory that we think it's going to be after the downfall of Kang, or maybe it's the downfall of Kang, I don't know.
Who knows?
I mean, yeah, I feel like that fits, and I also feel like if you really want somebody to like get serious with it and be like, no, these are the characters that gotta go, these are the ones that gotta die or have the consequences before they. I think they're going to reboot in Secret Wars. I don't think that's a big, I don't think that's a large, I don't know. I don't think that's a wild prediction, but that's my prediction right now is that they're going to reboot the whole MCU.
Can you
do it?
I have a comment, but can you go into that a little bit? Can you hold that thought?
Sure.
I do want to add that I think I had a line that I wanted to say. Matter of fact, Brian, can you dive into that a little bit more?
Sure. Yeah. So for me, reading the 1980s Secret Wars and then the updated, the Hickman Secret Wars that most recently came out, both of those events were they were very much character building and character changing for a select group of heroes. In the original Secret Wars, that's where Spider-Man gets the Venom suit.
Yep.
That's pretty major for his arc. The Thing decides not to go back with the Fantastic Four. That's pretty monumental to me. You have the X-Men and Magneto working together, and there's some stuff that splits off from there. This is all the 1980s Secret Wars. Then you look forward to the Hickman Secret Wars, which was essentially, I'm going to say, like a large Fantastic Four story with Avengers and other characters in supporting roles.
Yeah,
and
good way to put it.
Basically finding out that Battle World, that the only thing that exists in the multiverse is Battle World, and it didn't always used to be like that. And they find that they can change all this stuff. That seems like a really good off ramp for anybody that's like, I'm done with the MCU. It seems like a really good on ramp for people that are like, I really want to tell this story, but you've kind of already told it, or I don't feel like we have the set pieces in place to tell it. So I'm not saying like all of the spider people are going to die. Not saying that at all. I just think like, are we wanting a more mature Peter Parker? That's a really easy way to age him up. Are we wanting Carol Danvers to hang out with the Guardians of the Galaxy? That's an easy way to do that. Are we wanting new Guardians of the Galaxy? That's an easy way to do that. So that's kind of where I'm at.
It does sort of give you the opportunity to say all of these folks were never in the same sandbox before. Right. What if suddenly you saw them together, enjoyed that, and we then gave you more of it? Right. Like I see the logic and how that follows. And Brian, that makes a ton of sense. Like not a like, let's go back to square one with Iron Man and start over, but definitely a like, did you want to see Iron Man go to space for like, I don't know, 6 years?
Thank you. You summed it up far better than I could.
He could go to space, right, guys?
I mean, you could recast Iron Man. Like you could you could do all that stuff.
That's how you get a Miles Morales, and that's how you get a Young Avengers, which they are setting up that like behind the scenes, and I could very well see them waiting to age all these characters up to become the new Avengers. What I was going to say is, and thank you for explaining that, Brian. What I was going to say is, before we move on, I also have a theory that if he was to get, I know it's just a rumor, so huge grain of salt, but if he was to get Secret Wars, I genuinely believe it's because Doom is in Black Panther and he's developing that villain.
That's fair. That's actually a really good point.
He would be like, he's this person that's going to introduce Doom in Black Panther that maybe Kevin Feige just like gave him some kind of leeway with Doom to be like, give me a villain that is almost just because you gave
Right.
us you gave us Michael B. Jordan as
Killmonger.
Killmonger. So like, what if you got Doom in a kind of a similar way of this super relatable villain that Ryan Coogler has written up, and then he gets to develop as if he was to become the main villain in Secret Wars. And then you just surround these character pieces around it, interacting with this phenomenal Doom that you just discovered. Like, that would be dope to me.
If he pulls it off and then they take it away from him, the egg is on Marvel's face. So I feel like it makes a lot of sense to like double down or even wait until see how audience receive it. And if they really, really like it, then you say, guess who just got I mean, I could literally see it being like a Sunday night. It's 8:00 at night. The numbers are starting to come in from Black Panther's debut,
which is going to be ridiculous, by the way.
Ryan Coogler sitting at home enjoying like an old fashioned, maybe hanging out with his wife and his kids, just kind of kicking it. And suddenly his phone's rings. He's like, "Hold on, guys, I got to take this." And literally, Kevin's like, "Guess who just got himself Secret Wars?" And then click, and that's it. Like, that's how that shit's gonna play out.
I would be way more corny. I'd give him a call and be like, "It looks like you're in the Secret Wars now." Click, and like, no, I don't care what the answer is.
And Ryan Coogler would be like, "What the fuck?" But I do feel like,
because it comes from an unlisted
I feel like Kevin Feige's a little bit more saucy than we think. Like, he might be like a nerd that understands comic books, but I also feel like he's the guy that can walk in a room and just be smooth as shit and talk to anybody.
Yeah.
Get you a man that can do both, they say.
Oh, like he will dap up Ryan Coogler like a black man and be like, and Ryan was like, "Okay, I don't know where the fuck that came from, but I'm on board." You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that would be pretty. I would pay to see that.
Also,
I'd pay money to see that.
I have to share this knowledge. There's no other place for me to share it. Secret Wars, the name, was a name made by Committee back in the 80s to sell toys. So like, basically they had a bunch of kids in a conference room and they just ran a bunch of like combined words for them, and these 80s kids decided like, nah, Secret Wars, that's cool. Nobody knows what it means. It implies they're secret and nobody knows about them, but also there's multiple of them.
I love that.
Anyway, it's bonkers.
That's my favorite.
To me, if you go the Spider-Man route, Secret Wars, that's really interesting, Brian, because Secret Wars makes sense from the Spider-Man cartoon, the 90s version, right? Because it was like, he fought this secret war behind, nobody will ever know, because Peter Parker's keeping his diary of himself, right?
Yes.
And he's like, or journal, whatever you're more comfortable with.
Diary, whatever. Diary's fine.
And he's like, oh, you know, they'll never know that I had to fight this secret war for good and evil, or blah, 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 blah. But that's really interesting that you said that. I didn't know that.
Very interesting.
No, like the original 80s run, like they were supposed to have all these action figures come out with them, but like the whole thing fell apart. Like, and they stopped selling action figures because they weren't selling, so they still had to finish the story. Anyway, that's a story for another day. I wanted to add that here though, because some people might be like, man, Secret Wars, like how could that possibly relate? It doesn't. It's really media, it's like marketing gibberish to get you to buy stuff.
That's hilarious. That's great, Marcus. I appreciate that rumor. I will always entertain those. Those are always fun rumors. Brian, you have a piece of news.
Hi, everybody. So first off, I want to say, take care of your mental health. If you got to talk to somebody, go talk to somebody, because this next piece I'm going to talk about is from Vanity Fair, and Vanity Fair reached out to dozens of people who are in Ezra Miller's life. If that name sounds familiar, he is the Flash in the DC live action movie universe
for now.
And I have been honestly, I've been on this beat because the story there's so much going on. It's hard to figure out what's real and what isn't. What I am going to say, I'm really just here to hype the Vanity Fair article. Go check it out if you haven't. It lists everything in sequential order if you're curious like me, of like, when did this happen? Why did this happen? And what is happening now? Because there's like this really weird thing of like criminal charge, like whack-a-mole happening across a variety of different states. And there's also some weird connections. Anyway, I'll let you read that article. I'm not going to summarize the whole thing. What I wanted to bring here was a line that stood out to me from this article that just kind of stupefied me, which was basically three people that are close to Miller say he wrapped up being the Flash into his grandiose speechifying when he would give these like grand speeches to the people he was around. And one source said that the actor claimed that the Flash is the one who brings the multiverse together just like Jesus. And I that's a lot. There's a lot to unpack there. But I wish Ezra Miller the best. I do. I just also want to say as I don't know much about Jesus in the multiverse, so I'm happy to look.
I didn't
forward
know traveling
to
the
that.
multiverse was one of his strengths.
Yeah,
turning water into wine and then bringing Superman and
yeah.
Batman.
Well, zipping over and talking to Black Adam for a little bit.
Yeah,
I mean, I went to vacation Bible school as a kid, and unfortunately, I missed Jesus in the multiverse. Maybe I would have paid more attention. I don't know.
you didn't know Jesus
But
had
anyway,
dreads either, did you? So E40 did.
You missed Jesus in the Justice League fight Darkseid, Brian.
Yeah.
I did. I missed that one.
That's in the Snyder cut.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's the double Snyder cut.
That's in the Mel Gibson, Zack
Got it.
Snyder
God.
joint project that they
Well,
worked on.
I'm gonna see myself out anyway.
Yeah.
If you want to see what's
Yeah.
going on with that Vanity Fair,
The
article
Mel
kinda-
Gibson Passion of the Christ cut is wild as hell, and I
Yeah.
feel like
Yeah,
that's
Yeah.
crazy.
he goes
Yeah.
against goes against grainy goodness and everything.
Anyway.
That is very interesting. You shared some of that with us in the chat, Brian, and it was like a car crash. Like I couldn't look away from that article. Like that
It's-
article was nuts.
You know, the last thing I'll say about it is like, you know, if he does need help, I really hope he gets it. There's also just a lot of stuff going on about like how he's treating people and like what he's aware of and what he's not aware of. So like to everybody listening, like treat people with respect. That's all.
And
Well, I feel like he's for one, no matter how successful this movie is, I feel like he's done. Like there is no taking a chance on him. I don't think WB is doing that. WB got his own shit going on right now, and I doubt a person with this much going on, it helming their main universe in some like in a way is. I don't think that's going to work. So
yeah,
but I do hope he gets the help he needs.
It's hard to
I
see
hope
the
he does
future
too.
of it.
Yeah, I hope he does too. Gentlemen, I have one piece of news that I'd like to say, and I'd like all of us to just take a brief moment of silence and remember the possibility that was Star Wars Rogue Squadron. Because in all of the announcements and in all of the releases and hype, both pre D23 and post D23, it seems to have fallen off the release schedule. So for those that don't know, oftentimes when Disney or other movie studios will put out their slate, they'll put out things through 5 years from now. So Disney put this out, I believe. Culture Crave put it out, I believe. Fandom Wire put it out. There were a
Variety reported it just got removed. I think last Thursday.
There is nothing on the schedule that would give any indication that Star Wars Rogue Squadron is continuing to happen. No real reason as to why. I mean, I'm going to read between the lines and make some assumptions that maybe Wonder Woman 1984 had something to do with it. Because
no way. The failure of the movie?
I don't want to insinuate, but it does. Like that was the last thing Patty Jenkins touched.
But okay, I have a question then, because this is my first time hearing this, and I didn't know that.
Yeah,
I did see a tweet that they said the next Star Wars movie doesn't come out till 2025.
Yep,
I think, right?
I mean, technically, but
which is what? Does anybody know what that is?
It's Untitled, I think, at this point.
I believe it's Tiki Waititi's movie. I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
But when you have, okay, let's say that Wonder Woman 1984 is the reason that Rogue Squadron isn't happening, right?
And again, I'm looking for context. I'm looking for context clues. Right. I'm putting together there's a whole puzzle over here with yarn and pictures that I have set up that's reaching me to this conclusion.
But what about the first Wonder Woman, which was successful, and Patty Jenkins' other pieces of work? I don't
know.
Was there something? Am I dreaming, or was there a moment where we all said on this podcast that there was going to be a fallout between Patty Jenkins and Disney because something went out?
We kind of hinted at it last week when we talked about D23. Brian brought up like I don't know if Patty, I don't know if 1984 is responsible, and that's all that it is. And
I mean,
so, yeah,
like
there's a lot
it's
going on.
weird. I do from last week when we recapped D23. I don't know if it's a whole thing if they just are not interested in doing movies and like maybe the conversation instead that's happening is like, do you want to do a Rogue Squadron TV series? Which, by the way, I would be all about. I actually think it lends itself well to like a TV episodic format and
Like a military serial.
I mean, you're telling me it's like a fighter pilot military serial in space? Like, yeah, that's gonna be rad as hell.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It just because of how much silence has been around it. I mean, they haven't even done casting. They haven't even confirmed a script, and that's for none of the movies. So it just makes me wonder. It makes me feel is that it's a Disney decision. I don't think 1984 is factoring into it. I know a lot of people are like, oh, 1984, but I mean, that movie still made over like 150 million in box offices during the height of the pandemic. So
that's true. Very good point. Fair point.
I'm also, I can't confirm this because HBO Max is really stingy with their data, but I'm pretty sure that also contributed to a lot of their subscriptions at the time.
Oh, yeah. Because that was one of the first big releases on that platform. Yeah.
It had to have.
Yeah. And Wonder Woman 3 is in
like
progress.
they're gonna do Wonder Woman 3. Like that's a lock. Like and from the rumors we've heard, they want Gal Gadot to lead do more stuff
for sure.
So I honestly think it's a Disney philosophy decision. I'm super bummed about it because like I was like this
dope
is
as hell.
These are the stories that I feel like are worth exploring after we finish the Skywalker saga. And everybody's kind of good on family Shakespeare laser sword drama. Like everybody's kind of liking. I mean, like people are liking these niches. Like The Mandalorian is a Western, and Obi-Wan Kenobi was essentially a lone samurai film protecting a child.
No, that's
right. Boba Fett was basically just like half Lawrence of Arabia, part Mandalorian season 2.5, and then if you ever played the game Battlefront, it was a free for all for the final episode. So like
Battlefront is such a good game.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Right. So it makes me just feel like they're leaning towards TV and boosting Disney Plus, but who knows?
Yeah.
Well,
I'd be curious to check in on later.
I want to take a moment, not for this, RIP to this, I guess, but just want to reflect on Obi-Wan. That was such a good series. You know what I'm saying? Like
it was.
Yeah.
And I don't know if people basked in that long enough because I know we're in an oversaturated world, but Obi-Wan was so fucking well done for it to be a main character of Star Wars. And I really like Mandalorian doing well is great because it feels like that's a new character that you can build up and you can grow into. For people that don't have any past history or anything like that, you have this character that's great.
Yes.
Obi-Wan, with having so much history around Obi-Wan in the animated series and the old, in Star Wars and the originals and then the sequels, I just felt like that was such a unique story. And man, I really enjoyed myself week to week watching Obi-Wan.
Yeah.
I think this is a strength that Star Wars has going for it right now, and maybe this is part of what Brian's alluding to when he's talking about like this is their strategy.
Yeah.
It seems like the folks over at Lucasfilm are just completely content saying like, yeah, there's 9 movies you have to watch if you really want to watch. There's 9 movies you have to watch to get the main through line.
Right.
But man, we're going to build you like Star Wars is a rich and like diverse and a like has so many side. It's such a complicated RPG of a world where there is like there's a main through mission, but if you want to split off and do a series of 6 side missions where you're Obi-Wan Kenobi, you can do that. Or do you want to do one big side mission where you just have to get the Death Star plans? Go watch Rogue One. Like that's
2
all you
hours
have to
of
do.
it. Yeah.
So actually, that's a great way to put it.
Like it is just a series of side missions with a main story, and it just maybe that's the route that they want to go. But where I come on the other side of it is I'm like, but man, does Rogue Squadron lend itself well to that. Like, it would be so well done as a TV show. I mean, could you imagine the opening, like the brink of war?
Oh
like,
yeah, totally.
Our boys on Alderaan are really taking it to the Imperial scum, and then it zooms in. Like, that's all you have to do with it is old school 1940s World War II serial, and it'd be so awesome.
But I feel like, what are we leading to? Because that would be the question.
Fair point.
What, whatever Takiti Wakiti Wahadi Watiti is like got going on up his sleeve, I feel like the series must lead into that. Like Andor could possibly lead into that, or
that's fair.
Like these newer series that are coming out, do they lead to this new story?
So looking at all the reactions for Andor, Tony Gilroy has gone on record saying like, hey, like Andor is like this story without like any Easter eggs. Like this is the story. And I feel like what they're doing is just more like, this is a story in the Star Wars universe. It has a beginning and an end, and it's not necessarily leading up to other stuff. Like it kind of feels like compartmentalized because like,
sure.
When you like, because I talk to other fans and like I talk about, my love for the original movies, and there's people like my nieces who are like, I mean, the original movies are fine, but like Clone Wars is my jam. Like Clone Wars is like, I connected with Ahsoka. And if you were to say that to a fan who only saw the original movies, they'd be like, who are you talking about? And like Ahsoka is seen as this character that reached a lot of women and girls. Like, you didn't really see a woman with a lightsaber in the original movies. I mean, kind of, sort of in the prequels, not a main character at all. So Ahsoka was that for a lot of people. That's Star Wars to them. And the original movies, they could care less about. Like, oh, is Ahsoka in them? No? Okay. Like, and I think that's a good thing. I want to make sure I say that. Like, I think it's a good thing. Like, Star Wars can be a lot of things to different people. So awesome. It just seems like right now they're just doing compartmentalized stories, but we'll see.
I'm also fine with. I'm still waiting on my black man with a lightsaber.
I mean, if they did a whole, I would love a whole Mace Windu story.
I have the pitch for it. But also I would love a new character as well.
That's
like,
true.
You know what I mean? Like, we thought we were going to get Finn, or was supposed to get Finn. I don't,
there's not enough hours in this podcast to unpack that. I feel like,
that still upsets me.
Yeah. And you can feel that too when you watch that movie. And when I went back to watch it, I was like, oof. Yeah, they cut a lot of your storyline, Bucko.
I mean, Rise of Skywalker is. I can't do this. I can't.
We'll do it.
Yes, you're right, Marcus.
All right, you are correct.
Yes.
Well, gentlemen, in speaking of where is this going, lately we have been in a little bit of a movie lull. In case folks are curious as to where the fall is going as far as its movie releases, Brian Roush is going to give us a little bit of a what to expect from this fall in your local cinema. Brian, what do you got?
Yes. So what we're going to be doing with this new segment, basically, I'm going to be going through weekend by weekend the big movies that are coming out. I'm also going to highlight some that I think our listeners would enjoy that maybe you haven't seen any advertising for yet, because our interests veer from straight up comic book movies to, we really like this indie drama darling. So
all over the place.
So I'm just going to kind of run over those. I'm not going to mention everything. This is not an exhaustive list. But yeah, I'm just going to start with the rest of September that we have here. If you're listening to this, it came out on the 21st. So this weekend, it's everybody's favorite drama of the set, I should say.
Do you like Hot Mess?
Don't Worry, Darling, which is Florence Pugh, Chris Pine, Harry Styles. We, as of the last time we talked as a group of our podcast, we will be seeing this, so we will be talking about it next week.
Oh yeah, we will.
And so just something to keep on the radar. The next week, you're going to be having Hocus Pocus 2 on September 30th on Disney Plus. So that's probably going to be a big draw for a lot of y'all. The one movie I'm going to point out here in September to watch, or one that is probably going to get a lot of attention and discourse, is Blonde. It's coming out on Netflix. It's an NC-17 with Anna de Armas and Adrian Brody.
Plays Marilyn Monroe.
She plays Marilyn Monroe. It's been screened by a few critics' audiences, and it's been very divisive. So if you're looking for something that might challenge you, Blonde on September 28th on Netflix may be that film for you.
Yeah,
Maybe
I've heard outstanding things about Ana de Armas's performance from those who have seen it, that she does an outstanding job. But this is put the kids to bed for this one, because
I mean, they're not gonna pull punches. I mean, Marilyn Monroe was, I mean, a person like any of us in a biopic sometimes.
Well, and how she was treated by Hollywood too is also not always a great look.
Yes.
So yeah.
All right, so then we're moving into October. I'm just gonna say it right out of the gate. The big comic book movie here is coming out Friday, October 21st. It's Black Adam. It's Dwayne Johnson. You know what's happening here, but it's the third weekend in October. So if you have kids and you need a babysitter, that's the date.
That's it. Pick your date. Yep.
Yeah. Otherwise, it's an interesting mix of like your traditional horror, and you can start to see some Oscar contenders coming in. So the one that if you're really needing something fresh, and maybe you're like, you know what, where's Christian Bale been? Well, I'm here to tell you, he's going to be in Amsterdam. It's a rated R drama that takes place in the 30s about himself and a character played by Margot Robbie that witness a murder, and they need to get out of it. So that comes out Friday, October 7th. There's been a little bit of drama buzz about it. I from the trailer, I can't really tell. John David Washington is also in it, which our friend from Tenet, going backwards and forwards, will be in it.
Directed by David O. Russell, who did some cool stuff too. So there's a lot of fun things to expect with that one.
And then Halloween Ends. If you're needing your scary movie itch scratched, Jamie Lee Curtis, she's back Friday, October 14th. Again, Halloween Ends. So if you like scary movies, you know you're going to watch this. So really, that's a date for you.
You know what would be fun for this podcast before that one? Maybe we don't watch Halloween Ends, but it would be fun to watch the original 1970s Halloween.
I would absolutely be down for that.
That would be fun. That would be fun to watch that one, just because all of the movie trivia around that original, about how much it was made for and some of the choices that they made. That'd be a fun one. So we'll put a pin in that for spooky movie season.
Totally.
I can live without it.
Officially spooky movie season, because it'll be October.
I can live.
Oh, Doug, we've already had scary movies come out. It's already scary season.
Spooky movie season, Brian. It's October.
I'm gonna go to November. There is a release on the 28th. I don't know much about it. It's called Pray for the Devil. I can't really speak to it, but we then kind of go into this pre-Thanksgiving break, is the best way I can call it. There's some streaming stuff coming out. I'm not going to highlight it though. None of it caught my eye in a significant way. Look, Friday, November 11th. Just pre-order your Wakanda Forever tickets. You know what this movie is.
Yeah,
you know you're gonna cry. You know you're gonna be happy, but in a sad way. Go watch that trailer again. You know I'm going to.
I ain't watched it since, because I boo-hooed when I tried to watch it the second time.
It gets me. So anyway, Friday, November 11th is Black Panther. What I think is funny and as a commentary is there's a movie called Armageddon Time releasing on the same date, led by Anne Hathaway. And it's about a kid that goes to a private school. I don't know. Watch the trailer.
There's the juxtaposition.
I mean,
who's gonna go to the movie theater and be like, what a hard decision,
man? Could I watch this movie that's gonna be great, or could I watch the movie about the private school kid that I know nothing about?
I
why not move around? Listen, when Drake drops, artists move around. When J. Cole drops, Kendrick drops, artists move around.
I mean,
I feel like if you want to drop a movie when one of the greatest movies possibly of all time is coming out, you should move around.
I wouldn't do this if I was a movie executive, but I'm not. Anyway, there's some releases on the 18th. They're more drama related. The one I'll say is She Said, which is rated R. With Carey Mulligan, which recaps the origins of the Me Too movement. I think it could be a big Oscar drama contender. Obviously, some very heavy material there. So something to watch out for in our award season. And then Wednesday, November 23rd. This is the day before Thanksgiving, folks. You got your family in town.
Mhm.
They're staying at your house. And you're like, we got to get out of this house. Don't worry.
Right
The
now.
movies got you covered.
What are we watching with the family?
We are going to watch Strange World, which is the Disney release. It's an animated Disney release.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Basically they go to a strange
go to
world
a
in
strange
a
world.
spaceship. There's adventures that ensue. It's the Disney animated feature. Very safe bet. If that's not your jam, there's a movie called The Fabelmans by Steven Spielberg, starring Michelle Williams and Seth Rogen. And the preview kind of gets into it, but the main pull of this is the magic of movies hits this family in a special way. So I guarantee you, like, they go
Fun
in the
stuff.
movie or
It's
something.
a musical too, probably. Somehow.
No, it's not a musical. No.
Oh, thank
Nah,
God.
it's a classic Spielberg joint being like, you guys like movies? So do I. Here's a movie about movies. So it's gonna be one of those. So the three of us will probably
Hey, that's how I feel about movies.
That's how I feel about movies too.
I also love movies. Oh my gosh. Thursday, November 24th, Thanksgiving itself, Disenchanted will release on Disney Plus. So that is what this house will be watching.
Jesus, that's a lot of Disney all in like a 2-day period.
It is, but I mean, this is Disney's strategy. I mean, they know
true.
This is the time
fair.
families get together, and you want something safe you can watch in front of the children because you probably can't go see She Said with little Johnny. You get your Disenchanted, get your Fable.
Probably shouldn't.
I would not recommend
maybe you
it.
should take little Johnny ass
Maybe
in
you
there so he
should.
can teach his ass a lesson.
Yes, if little Johnny understands adult concepts.
Please don't do that.
So
make his ass learn.
Films in black and white does not endorse that decision.
The black part does. These young boys need to be learning at an early age.
Look, that is November. So it's your heavy hitters. It's your Thanksgiving, folks. And then we get to December. And look,
Brian,
December.
wait one moment.
What's
you
up?
have ignored a movie in November that I am very excited for.
What would you like to talk about?
Which
Doug?
is Weird, the Al Yankovic story. Because I don't know if you all saw the trailer for this. It looks fucking nuts.
It does.
I'm very excited for this movie.
You know,
for
that
those...
didn't pop up on this list because I don't understand where it's streaming because I think it's like a Roku financed picture, but
it's a Roku financed picture, but on the 4th, you can get it earlier if you subscribe to Roku. I don't know.
Got it.
But you'll officially be able to stream it other places on the 4th. But this is like it's what's the kid's name who played Harry Potter? It's gonna
it's Daniel Radcliffe.
It's Daniel Radcliffe playing Weird Al Yankovic. And I am very excited.
Which is why I had a problem
streaming on Roku.
I had a problem with this. I have a Roku TV, by the way, so it'll be easy for me to find.
Oh yeah,
there you go.
Yeah, it'll be all over.
If you have a Roku TV, it's super easy to find the Roku products because they shove that shit in your face. But also, I watched the trailer and I just hate to pigeonhole people like this, but all I could think about was that's goddamn Harry Potter with a bad wig on. Like that was the only thing that I could think about.
But I'm
kind of excited.
I'm curious. I'm not gonna say excited. I love Weird Al. Don't get me wrong. I love Weird Al.
It's my style of like slapstick comedy is what it is. Like it's ridiculous. It's ultra silly. Like that has Doug Wagner written all over.
Well, it also looks like a parody of the music docudrama, like of a biopic. So like if you're gonna skewer biopics, I'm there because in some sense, all of the biopics are the same.
Yes, they are.
I enjoy them. I love them. Rocket Man still stands out to me. But I know the main beats. It's a story. I understand.
He does something bad. He gets better. He rises to, like it's
right.
It's the roller coaster that is the rise to stardom.
The rise to stardom.
So that's your November. I'm so glad you brought up.
I'm so glad
Weird
that I was
Al.
able to.
Yeah, you saved us all, Doug. Great job.
You guys would have missed it.
I'm gonna be real with
you.
You
would have missed it, and you would have regretted it.
Dodged the bullet there.
I don't have a lot for December, y'all, because I mean it's
Christmas
the closing time of the movie theater year.
It
like
kind
people, you got Christmas, you have the Christmas holidays for your movies, but after that, it's like you're getting ready for award season. So there's gonna be a ton of awards centric movies coming out. I'm not gonna cover all of them right now. Because we also talk about this a little bit in January after the dust settles, after all the film festivals.
Yeah.
The one I will highlight though, Friday, December 2nd in theaters is Violent Night, rated R with David Harbour. And he plays Santa who's got to rescue people who are being held hostage, which I'm happy to watch.
It's Fat Man with a less divisive lead.
Yes, a little bit. There's not a hostage component to Fat Man, though.
No, there's
but not. I mean,
how many Santa non-Santa movies have we watched on this podcast, y'all?
Only the one.
Just the one.
I felt like it was 2. This is going to be 2. Probably.
I mean, there was that Anna Kendrick one, which I ended up watching twice. I can't tell you why, but I did. I saw it twice.
Was that Noelle?
Was that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I didn't watch
That's
that.
why I thought it was 2. Because
When
I also watched Noelle.
when you strictly, again, if I can hop on my soapbox if just for a moment,
Please.
When you strictly celebrate holidays and you don't watch Christmas shit before December 1st, do you understand how much more time you narrows it? You have to pick your Christmas movie because there are only so many weekends. There's like 3 of them, so you have to like narrow it down. You're like, what are the top 3 Christmas movies I want to watch?
That does not feel true.
Well,
wait a minute.
First, right out of the gate, right out of the gate, Muppet Christmas Carol. I won't be taking any questions. That is hands down the best Christmas movie of all time.
Muppets Christmas.
I will not. We're not going to go anywhere. And then you got to fit in the Santa Claus in there somewhere. So really,
okay, wait a minute. Okay, wait.
Christmas movie.
Okay, first, I think we missed a movie. I'm gonna take you off your fucking soapbox because you just came with some bullshit. Okay, so first, I feel like I need to hear top 3 Christmas movies from everybody quickly. And there's also the Santa Claus has a series coming out on Disney
Plus. Does.
And that I believe is in November,
probably October 31st, knowing these assholes.
Probably because sometimes the Christmas stuff doesn't come. It leads into the Christmas season. It'll start like at the end of November and then lead into December or something like that. But top 3, go ahead
real quick. A Muppet Christmas Carol is top of the list.
Okay,
it's easily top of the list.
All right.
Then after that, the original Santa Claus, just because that's got me feeling a certain sort of way. And then I'm going to make a choice and say that I prefer Christmas Vacation to A Christmas Story. So I prefer Christmas Vacation to A Christmas Story. I think there was one year where my dad found out that you could watch A Christmas Story for 24 hours. And so he tried to make that choice. And so I watched it like 4 times and I was like, there are other things we can watch. I might have been like 16 at the time.
Makes me want to throw up.
Yeah, it was real bad. After a while, you're just sort of like, okay,
what a decision.
We've missed the beginning. I know all of you are trying to catch the beginning. Like we're all trying to catch the beginning, but we can put this together, right? Like it's either you catch the beginning, you miss the middle, you catch the end, or some combination there.
Oh God.
But
okay.
Yes,
all right, Brian.
Those are my 3.
Yes. Brian.
Okay. Okay. Look, if we're going classics, I like It's a Wonderful Life. Do I watch it very often? No, I do not. But I do feel like it's a Christmas movie that's like, so this guy's gonna kill himself, and you're like, excuse me, and then
it really is.
Like, essentially, like, also oddly a very good, like, it's this weird meta narrative, by the way, of like community building and capitalism is bad, which absolutely wild to look at it through that lens. Anyway. It's a Wonderful Life is top 3. I don't know if it's number 1. I think the next one for me is going to be Jingle All the Way with Arnold Schwarzenegger. It's Sinbad. They are trying to get this action figure. It vibes with me because I was that kid that was like, I gotta have the action figure, mom and dad. Like, I need this action figure, and you're kind of like, okay, like, I don't know. It vibes with me. It reminds me of a happy time, and then. I think it's got to be. It's tough. If I had to choose one, I think I'm going to go with Home Alone.
That's a good one.
I don't know. It tells a simple story, and I like the slapstick, but there is like a nice, heartwarming end to it. So that's what I'm going to say for now. That might change later, but that's what I'm going to say for now on the spot.
Okay. Brian, did you say Jingle All the Way? Did I miss that? Okay, that's my 4th. That's a close 4th for me.
Filmed in Minneapolis. So
in July apparently.
My list is a little bit unorthodox.
I knew it.
I'm gonna say The
Had to have
Grinch.
Okay.
I'm putting The Grinch in
well,
there.
Yeah. Okay.
Cartoon or Jim Carrey?
Jim Carrey.
Okay,
And-
that is unorthodox.
Yeah, Jim Carrey. I really love that movie, even though he hates that movie. I feel like you have to watch the live action is better than the Benedict Cumberbatch movie that came out, and it's better than the cartoon version that was out.
Okay, I completely forgot about the
early
Benedict
cartoon.
one.
I think everybody did.
It has one of my
Yeah.
it has one of my favorite lines in all of movies in it.
What is it?
They are he is doing the annual pudding judging competition, and everyone's shoving pudding in his mouth, and some
Yes.
guy comes up and goes, "This is not pudding," and I every time I lose my fucking mind and laugh my ass
Because I think
the
Jim
tears.
Carrey asks him, and he says, "Well, what?" I think he says, "What is it?"
He goes, "Well, what is it?"
Well,
But
what is it?
it's the German accent and coupled with the like,
Ugh.
"This is not pudding," and I lose it every single time.
So The Grinch is on my list. Now, this next choice
I see
is
what
it's
you
my
guys did
world,
to
and
me,
I can
by
do
the way.
whatever the fuck I want to. Harry Potter as a series, I feel like is a great Christmas time. I feel like Harry Potter is just like they say Die Hard is a Christmas movie, which I will agree with.
I mean,
It is.
I almost said Die Hard, almost.
I will say that Harry Potter, if not the whole series, 1 and 2 at least, are good Christmas movies ish.
I mean, all right.
That's the time I rewatch them. I don't rewatch them over the Thanksgiving holiday when they show it.
No, you're right. There's
Freeform?
you're kind of like piggybacking off of the magic of the season. I feel you.
Yeah. Even though it's only a portion of it, and then the last one, I think would have to be. I was trying to look up the movie. It's a very old movie, but somehow I managed to watch it every year. The Preacher's Wife. It's a black Christmas movie.
That one.
I think Denzel Washington.
You are right. It is.
Yes.
I feel like it is Denzel. I have not seen it.
think
But
it's
I feel like
Denzel.
I'm putting this on my list. I'd love to watch something new.
Oh yeah, it's such a classic. It's The Preacher's Wife. It's a black Christmas movie. Always was on BET growing up, and it was one of those that didn't feel like cliche, cheesy Christmas. I mean, it is because it was made when it was made, like possibly in the 90s, I think. But still a good movie. I always like watching. I'll rewatch. I have no problem rewatching when it comes on. So those are my three.
Those are the three.
Yeah, those are my
That's
three.
good.
So
Brian, care to carry us out through December of the movies that are coming out?
I do. I do. I also want to say Ghost of
Christmas.
Girlfriend's Past is probably my number 4.
Y'all
Jennifer
remember My
Garner.
Super Ex-Girlfriend?
It's basically the night before Christmas, but it's all about Matthew McConaughey's ex-girlfriends, and there's a time travel thing in it, so obviously I'm hooked. And
yeah, that's all it takes.
Anyway, that's a good one that goes
I'm on
the
board.
radar. Anyway, we left off with Violent Night, December 2nd. I think it's interesting. They're doing a remake of House Party, which I thought was interesting. So that is slated.
Bold choice.
That is slated for Friday, December 9th. Curious how that's going to come
in the theater.
To be in a theater.
Yeah, that's going to fail.
Is Anthony Mackie in it?
Who's the lead in that?
I have this up. I have this up because I was like, who is this? We got Jacob Lattimore. Let's see here.
Okay. He's talented.
Tosin Cole, Karen Obilum. Who else we got here? Chris. I don't know a lot of these folks. I'm gonna be honest. I just did the scroll and I knew the first 3. Nope. Don't know these folks. So
I'm gonna look with my black eye. I can do that.
Please do.
That's
I'm the white guy looking at the black movie here.
And be like, that's what's his name from what you call it?
Yeah.
Oh, this is gonna be terrible if this is the cast.
I love no delay, no pause, just no.
Because you can always tell by the poster and like
tell me more.
Now I have to look at it.
DC Young Fly. Okay, DC Young Fly is hilarious. I know, like, okay, yeah, cool. Jacob Lattimore is talented. Yeah, okay, cool. Alan Maldonado.
Yeah.
No, this is not going to be great. So,
well, you can.
It looks like a cheap. It looks like it's going to be a cheap knockoff, kind of like Coming to America 2, but that same you're going to overcast it with funny people.
It's written by Stephen Glover. So from Atlanta.
Okay.
So I mean, maybe
I support my black people. I'm gonna watch it anyway.
I don't know. It's been a while since I've watched the original House Party. I just thought it was an interesting, like, to me, I like it because it's not a Christmas movie. It's a party movie in the middle of December. That I don't know. That feels nice to me. Anyway, look, y'all knew I was going to talk about Avatar. Friday, December 16th. We all know why we're here. It's Christmas. It's James Cameron. You're not going anywhere. And if you did, you don't want to go anywhere else. So you're going to watch Way of the Water, probably in 3D. And it might be good. I don't want to bet against James Cameron, but I do kind of feel like it's got to prove itself a little bit.
Well,
so that's coming out Friday,
apparently-
December 16th.
Apparently, he went to battle with Disney over the runtime, and he was like, "Motherfucker, I made Titanic." So
I read
maybe
that.
Be quiet about it.
I read that piece earlier today.
I added the motherfucker. The rest of the conversation's accurate.
Yeah,
That comes out this year.
Yes,
that is
16th.
the Christmas movie, dude. That's it.
Yeah. Well, because otherwise it's Glass Onion, which is a Knives Out movie.
That's what I was just about to say. Glass Onion comes out Friday, December 23rd. Everybody, again, knows why they're here. You're at home. You're not going anywhere. You're going to pop on Netflix for a good murder mystery with people that are just beautiful. And you're going to watch
and
it.
Dave Bautista.
You made me do it. Never mind. Just fuck it. Listen, nobody wants to watch Way of the Water, okay? Because I just think that that's a crock of bullshit. And when I say nobody, I mean Marcus, because you have spent years telling us that
Nobody.
Avatar 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 was on the way. No worry.
Rick.
I know Avengers Endgame and Infinity War broke those records, but guess what I'm working on, y'all? It's just like Christopher Nolan did with Tenet. Okay, y'all be hyping these funky ass movies up. Like Avatar 1 was a great movie, changed the game. Okay, listen, that was the time when Avatar 1 came out. Everybody's granddad was buying, including mine, was buying big ass TVs so that they could see the shit in 3D when they bought it on Blu-ray with the surround sound.
I remember that.
And it was like when the Black Friday special came out for big ass TVs, everybody was doing, because the first movie they owned for these big ass TVs and surround sound systems and 3D TVs and shit was Avatar. I don't want to discredit. I don't want to discredit the things that Avatar did, but what I do want to acknowledge is you are right when you say this shit's got to pull its own weight, because
a little bit
you've gassed this shit up.
Yeah,
it feels, I guess the reason it puts me off a little bit, I don't know James Cameron personally. I love his films.
Yeah.
But what it feels like is like, look, it's Avatar, and the first Avatar was great. You're gonna like this one. And it's like, it's been so long. And like the first Avatar was, I don't know. It just feels like
borderline too long.
It feels like it's imposed. Like, what am I trying to say? It insists upon itself. Like it insists upon itself that it is a good visual movie sequel to this other good movie visual sequel. And I'm just kind of like, where have you been?
It's almost like movie nepotism. Like you just want
little
to
bit.
like this shit.
Put that on a shirt.
What came before, and I just felt like that. That's not fair. Like you know what I did with that. It's like one guy who wins a fight one time, right?
Yes.
And he wins a fight one time, and he's like, "Hey, don't fuck with me, because you know I beat what's his name's ass, right?" And it's like, dude, you kind of got lucky because that other dude slipped and fell on a piece of like ice. Or
Ricky was drunk. You got a good shot and leave it alone.
Yeah.
And look, here's the thing. Avatar should be my jam. It's a sci-fi pro-environmentalist
anti-capitalist movie
on another planet with blue cat people and new creatures and vehicles.
That all tall as LeBron James.
This should be my thing, and all I can feel like is I hope it's good. Like that's weird. That's weird.
Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. Tell us if you feel the same, listeners, because I feel like, I don't know. When I talk about it on Twitter, some people are like, well, Avatar, the first one, it was so good. And I'm always like, who is the name of the character? Who is the main character in Avatar?
Thank you, Brian.
I mean, we've talked about this before. But
hold on. I know our time is winding down. I know we're trying to get through this fall preview.
I mean, this is the last movie we're talking about.
But Brian, you hit the nail on the head, because nostalgia keeps us in a fucking chokehold, y'all.
It does.
And this feeling, I know movies give us this feeling of some places that we want to live in and stay in for a little bit, which is right. Why I love movies, me personally.
Man,
right?
why would we want that right now?
Movies.
Man,
weird.
So weird, so strange, huh?
Yeah.
So it's like the nostalgia portion, people heavily rely on that shit to sell a movie. And for it being so long, what is the damn, I don't know what they call it. Is that Jeopardy? Final Jeopardy, Double Jeopardy. You remember that movie, Double Jeopardy?
Yes,
Double
I
Jeopardy
do.
with the woman who was accused of killing her husband and then was released.
So she kills him again.
She can't get convicted of the same crime.
Of the same crime, so she doesn't
do it.
Same thing. Just same thing here. What is the timeline of too long? And then can you commit double jeopardy on some shit because you did it? Like, we accused you of making a good movie the first time, and I'm like, hell yeah. But like,
if you're
that
a
doesn't
lawyer,
mean
come on this podcast and explain double jeopardy.
Christopher Nolan. Who is it? James Cameron, Christopher Nolan. All you motherfuckers come on this podcast and talk to us because I have questions. I genuinely have questions on the audacity that you motherfuckers have when you are writing movies.
We should rewatch Avatar.
I don't have a problem rewatching Avatar.
We'll definitely do an Avatar rewatch. And
We're gonna
there's
have
not a whole lot else coming out.
I've got more of a problem with. I was fine with the braid sex and all that other stuff, like in the movie. Like, that's okay, cool, right? Fine, I get it. You introduce some new shit to the world. That's perfectly fine. The same braid you have sex with, the same braid you drive your car with. Cool. That's perfectly fine with me. I just think the audacity of y'all is it behooves me on how cocky you motherfuckers are on this is gonna be the one to change the game. I just need y'all to relax. That's all I'm saying. Be confident, but just relax. Because Tenet, Avatar, all you motherfuckers just be bigging this shit up, and then when it flop, y'all be mad as hell.
Doug is out of his chair, almost laughing. I am also still on the braid romancing.
That was in the movie.
The braid you have sex with is the same one you drive your car with.
You're right. I've never thought about it that way.
Not wrong. I do want to mention, Brian, in addition, you kind of mentioned it, but
Please.
Brendan Fraser's comeback movie, The Whale, comes out the first weekend in December.
Nice. Oh, does it? Excellent. Good.
That's
not on this list I have from Cinema Blend, which is what I prefer to use. So I'm happy that has a scheduled date. I don't know if that'll be limited release, but I'd be happy to see that.
I hope so.
Yeah.
But you know what? It's probably going to come to streaming January anyway. So.
That's a very good point. Awesome. Thank you for breaking that down for us, Brian. That was a great discussion.
No
I do want to leave a little bit of space to just chat a little bit briefly about Rings of Power. To talk through what our impressions are through 4 episodes. Now, Marcus, did you get a chance to watch it at all?
Hell no.
Yeah,
you're a busy
long.
guy.
They're like 55, 60-minute episodes.
Once Brian said they were like he said something about 5 hours, and I'm pretty sure that was over exaggeration. But also, I was like, I'm not going to have time. I am going to watch it. So regardless of what you all talk about on this podcast, you're not spoiling anything because I'm not that deep. I literally just watched Lord of the Rings.
I do.
2 months ago for the first time.
I do want to offer a joke that I made at Marcus's expense when we talked about how long this was. And I said, yeah, there are 4 episodes. They're about an hour each. It's about 4 hours. And he goes, yeah, I don't know if I'm going to have time. I said, weird. You make time for other 4-hour things to watch.
And I thought that's exactly where this is going.
I thought this man was going to strike me down in a bar, but he would not. It was just very funny.
I mean,
it's fair.
I couldn't.
Each episode on average is over an hour.
Yeah,
I just want to point that out.
Yeah.
And last week's episode was an hour 10.
Yeah, they're long. They're not.
So you're committing 5 hours unless you just don't go to the bathroom.
How many episodes? I guess I'll lead this portion since you both have seen it.
Yeah.
I'll lead with questions.
That's perfect.
Just a little bit. How many episodes are out right now at the moment?
4 are out so far. The first 2 dropped when it released 2-3 weeks ago. So there were 2 to start, and then there were 3 weeks ago. So there have been 4 released so far.
Is this a weekly drop or this is weekly? What day did they drop weekly?
I want to say
Friday, baby.
Friday. Friday morning.
In traditional Love Nerds fashion, this is what Maggie and I plan on doing every Friday night.
There you go.
Where do you stream this this TV show?
Amazon Prime, which is kind of a weird place to put it. Here's the other thing. It's a weird place to put it, especially because you'd have to pay to rent the Lord of the Rings movies on Amazon.
I mean, it is,
So
it's not synergistic.
No,
corporate exec who's
if you want to watch the Lord of the Rings movies, both the short and extended cuts, they are on HBO Max. But if you want to watch Rings of Power, that streams exclusively to Prime. So it's kind of all over the place.
Oh, okay. Well, what is this? Can you explain this show?
I will do my best
to somebody who is not an avid fan.
Before we jump off, Doug, I feel like of the 3 of us, you know the most about Lord of the Rings because you've read the books, right?
Agreed.
I have read the books. I have rewatched 2 of the extended cuts over the past 2 weeks.
Oh,
Okay.
I've watched
I-
Fellowship and Two Towers over the course of the past 2 weeks.
I have only been exposed to Lord of the Rings theatrical cuts. That was
Okay.
how this universe was introduced to me. But I have seen all of the Lord of the Rings movies except the last Hobbit movie. So
Yes.
that's where
Same
I'm at.
I saw the theatrical cuts when they first came out when I was a kid with
Yeah.
my mom, and we fell asleep at the last movie in the theater because it was so goddamn long, and I woke up and they were floating away in a boat.
Yep.
But I have rewatched these movies, the theatrical cuts, about 2 to 3 months ago. I think I live tweeted through them.
Yes, you did. Yes, you
Yeah.
did. I remember
So
that.
that's where I'm at. So we're all on the same page of our knowledge of Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, that's good.
So, for those that need a little bit of a reminder, this is kind of a weird time to be in it. So, what you need to know is that there are 3 major ages within the Middle Earth realm. There's the first age, the second age, and the third age. For context, the events of The Lord of the Rings take place in the third age. The events of The Hobbit take place sort of at the tail end of the second age, and where Rings of Power really places us at is at end of the first age, beginning of the second age.
Oh,
So
I had no idea. I
yeah,
had
so
no idea about that.
there
Okay.
are 3 ages within the Lord of the Rings
Okay.
world. If you're
okay.
curious about timeline for The Hobbit, end of the second age, third age is
Okay.
all Lord of the Rings
All
stuff.
right. That makes a lot more sense.
What is a Middle Earth?
Middle Earth is sort of Middle Earth is so there are 2 major realms within this world that Tolkien created. There's
Yep.
the world where the elves came from, which name I'm not going to remember.
Valinor.
Valinor, and then they sail over on a ship into Middle Earth, and it's really just out of exploration.
Okay.
And where this show picks up is like right in between the events of the tail end of the first age and The Hobbit. And really, the best way to put it is what you need to know is that it's based off of a book called The Silmarillion, which is really like everybody. Basically, what happened was you like the Lord of the Rings, right? And it was everybody's like, "Fuck yeah, I love the Lord of the Rings," and you fucking loved The Hobbit, right? And people were like, "Yeah," and then so Tolkien was like, "Here's all of the shit that you need to know." In order to really know those. And the Silmarillion is really like it's a series of different myths and stories that will provide additional context to those other 2 stories, but really beyond that does not really do a ton of information. So what you need to know is that the elves came over from Valinor, and the big thing that they went to war with a deity whose name is
this Morgoth?
Who goes to war with Morgoth.
Okay.
And essentially Morgoth, there are a bunch of like, I'm going to try and summarize this the best I can. There are a bunch of there's one main god. That one god created a bunch of lesser gods, and the lesser gods came to Earth and were involved in different things. One lesser god made the dwarves. The other lesser gods like helped the elves get as strong as they were. So there's a bunch of different like lesser gods that are worshipped by folks around the world.
Yeah.
Morgoth is one of those sort of lesser gods who decides to try to take additional power, and the elves eventually defeat him. The men of Middle Earth worshipped him. Some of the men of Middle Earth worshipped him, which is kind of what they allude to there. Because they talk about it. But so long story short is Sauron, the maker of the Ring of Power, was essentially like the right-hand man to Morgoth.
Right.
And so what the main storyline throughout all of this is they are trying to figure out where Sauron is, because when they defeated Morgoth, they defeated Sauron. And so are these clues that Sauron left about where he was and how he was hiding.
Right.
And so that's essentially the storyline that we're all so far, is that we get introduced to the Harfoots, which are predecessors to hobbits. We get introduced to Numenor, which is the original realm of men. And we also get introduced to some of our elves creatures, while all with this guise of like, Sauron is coming. We're not sure where he is, but in the background he's coming, because all of this is sort of the prelude to making the rings of power that we know from the Lord of the Rings are what blinded the different races to Sauron's rise.
Does this have anything to do with the fight that happens in Lord of the Rings?
Yes. So there are characters in this that we get an introduction to, like Isildur, we get his introduction. He is
Yeah.
as a young man, and you can kind of see some of his arrogance and braggadociousness in this, because he definitely has a little bit of a tude where he thinks he can just get away with stuff, and
Yes.
that definitely comes out in the movie, right? He decides that he's going to take the ring for himself because he's the one who can control it. There are also pieces of this that get woven throughout, like it's hinted to, like in the end of the beginning of the Return of the King extended edition, there's a scene between Gandalf and Aragorn, and they're standing here and they're looking out at Mordor, and Gandalf turns to Aragorn and he says, like, there's one thing that's deep rooted in all of this that Sauron doesn't see coming. He doesn't see that the heir of Numenor lives and walks this earth, and he kind of gives like Aragorn this glinty eye. What he's alluding to is that the characters that are in Numenor now are basically Aragorn's great grandparents.
Okay, yes, okay, got it. That makes sense to me. I feel like I'm like Captain America. I understand that reference.
Yeah,
so I caught that one.
That's where a lot of this is sort of like coming from.
Wow,
is that there's a lot of this. That's Roman brings up a very good point in the comments. For those of you who are listening, he said, "I've heard the Rings of Power doesn't truly line up chronologically in regards to the books. It's more of a condensed timeline to fit a TV show." 110% correct.
Right.
This is an expedited timeline. And there are pieces to this that even I don't understand the references to. And I feel like I have a pretty good, there's a smoky sword. God knows what that is. There's a guy
that was like Sauron's sword.
That's what I got too. That was like Morgoth's sword that Sauron's looking for to get all of his power. There is a big, like in the Southlands, they're talking about men were kicked out and orcs are essentially destroying the Southlands. My understanding is that eventually becomes Mordor. Where everything kind of springs up from. So there's a lot of this. Like there's a lot of all of these things being woven throughout, but really it's a very interesting show. The thing about the show, beyond all the convoluted timeline stuff, is it's fucking gorgeous. Like this is a visual treat for your eyes.
It is. That was the thing when the first 2 episodes came out. I told Maggie, I was like, honestly, I follow like 75% about what's going on, but it looks so good that I'm compelled to finish it because not even a sci-fi series has touched how good this looks. Like this makes Mandalorian look like a backlot production. And Mandalorian looks good. I want to make sure that's clear to everybody. Like this is just on another level.
Well, ScreenRant.com says the staggering number of visual effect shots required the hard work and dedication of over 1,500 artists across all of the studios. At 9,500, The Ring of Power has more visual effects shots than Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame combined, both of which feature between 2,500 and 3,000 shots each.
I believe that. Remember when we said like each episode costs $8 million? That's the reason why.
This is why.
Visual effects are expensive, and so that's exactly what this is. Visually very, very stunning. It does. So a lot of folks are sort of comparing it like and contrasting it to House of the Dragon, which is out on HBO Max right now.
Oh yeah.
And really where House of the Dragon feels like a lot of like, it's very political, it's very like strategic. This feels like Rings of Power feels like people are talking about, there's a fire going off in like another, like basically imagine a people in a house and there's a fire that's 2 houses down that will eventually get to theirs. So like, we need to do something. They're talking very calmly and very like loquaciously with a very big vocabulary.
We share these truths among us, Doug.
That's exactly it. Like it's like we need to talk to the dwarves because the dwarves will get us the stuff to put out the fire. Was the fire here now? No, but it could be. Like that's all this is. And so it does do that Lord of the Rings thing where it sort of like over explains a lot of stuff and very like but not using words you'd understand.
Well, it's the things it chooses to over explain that confuse me, because it's like I think the perfect example of this is like, man, they're talking about oh my gosh, the orcs and like what they're doing. The orcs are tunneling through, and they're
Mhm.
they're ripping down trees, and like, oh, this is really bad. And then like the next episode, you have Elrond talking to his dwarf friend. And he's like, "Hey, we found Mithril." Anyway,
That's it. Yep, that's
and
exactly it.
like in that moment, Maggie was like, "Am I supposed to know what that is?" Because like they held that shot for 2 seconds, and then they just started talking about like mining
Well, and
practices.
again, the Hobbit makes Mithril a big deal because remember
Right.
the dwarves valued Mithril so much and they cherished it. It was something that only they could make and something they would only
Right.
give to each other. Well, they, as a reward for Bilbo's adventures
Yeah.
in The Hobbit, they give him Mithril, which he in turn passes down to Frodo. So
Right.
that's why it's important. But Brian, you're right, where they're like, I found this. This is what it would mean. This is what it would be in Elvish. He's like, no, not quite right. It would
Right.
be Mithril in Elvish. And then there's this big like na 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 na.
It almost
Like,
felt like
and
they
it's like-
paused for applause.
That's
almost.
exact. They paused so people could be like, yes. And so yes, but this also could lend itself where I could see this going is that remember again, this is going to be like remember
Strongest
this.
metal out there. You're right, Roman.
Absolutely right. They do also do this thing where I feel like they're leading to a Balrog showing up there because remember Saruman goes on this big long tangent. He's like, you know what's there? The dwarves dug too deep. And remember, the dwarf keeps alluding to this like it's really dangerous. We have to dig it in a very unique way. So that could be coming on that end because they've been hinting at that. There's a ton of like this like hinting at could go
dope.
there, like that type of stuff that's really cool. But here's the thing. It's important to understand the timeline because if you're going being like, hey, when does my man Gandalf show up?
Right.
It's too early. He's not here yet. Like this is the
Yeah.
second age. This is the like very early on in the second age. He doesn't come in towards like halfway into the second age, and we are not there yet. And so it definitely alludes to him being there. Like there's some speculation that the man who falls from the stars could be him.
Yeah.
But it's not spelled out and it's not clear.
I mean, yeah, I guess I like this is a very Tolkien story.
Oh yeah, this
Like-
is
Like
steeped
this
in
is,
fantasy.
I mean, and this is one of the challenges I had with the books was like it goes into so much detail
Too much
about these things that don't always matter.
Mhm.
And I feel like the show, to its credit, is being faithful to that philosophy. Because like there's not like an A and a B story here. Everything's an A story. Everything is important to follow with its own characters. And at this point, it's just kind of like you have to pay attention to everything. I'm really happy this isn't a weekly model. Like, because
I would need time to
there's
process.
just so much information happening, and I don't know. This first season, what it feels like is just the prologue of prologues. Like
Yes.
maybe at the end of this season, we'll have a better idea of like where the show could go as a whole. But right now, it just kind of feels like they're trying to find Sauron, but no, I mean, there's some orcs,
He's
maybe,
around.
but you know, they're
that's
figuring it out.
And that's the other thing. If you're showing up to this expecting like big battles between races, like you got in The Hobbit, the Battle of the Five
Right.
Armies, or if you're showing up like with some level of action that you got in the Hobbit movies, and even in like Two Towers, it's not. We're not there yet. These are small little skirmishes between like, you know, some orcs are attacking an elf, and that's it. And then they move on. Like this is there. We are not at the point where full blown groups of elves are fighting folks. Like it's just we're just not there yet, and it's just not going to be there for a while. So you're going to have to deal with some of the stuff that's steeped in mystery and over explanation.
Yeah, you really got to be okay just kind of being like, I don't know what's going on, let's go. Like,
But it's pretty,
that's
and
kind of
I'll
the
watch
vibe I
it.
have, which I'm enjoying.
I mean,
but-
those are not like stills that are rendered. Those are shots from the movie, like shots from the show.
Yes. Yeah, Marcus is showing us some stills.
Yeah, you got shit else to
from
do
the
because
show.
y'all lost me. So I just figured I'd
But
post some
that's-
pictures of.
And that was the other thing I kind of wanted to bring up here is like, I feel like this show is like, man, I feel like it's really hard to sell somebody on this show. to me.
Well,
At least
yeah,
a little
like
bit.
because what I'm thinking of, like as a person who's watching She-Hulk, a
Right.
series, I'm just going the series comparison, right?
Mhm.
There's
Yes.
She-Hulk, Lord of the Rings, and the
House of the Dragon.
House of the Dragon.
Yes.
Where does this fall when it comes to viewership, like consistency?
I haven't
Not the
even-
premiere, but
Actually,
like
I
Fuck, haven't
saw
even looked
something
at
like that.
you know,
I haven't even looked at that. I mean,
She-Hulk-
I think if I remember, I saw a graphic from like a week ago, and I
Right.
feel like it went Rings of Power, She-Hulk, House of the Dragon. I feel like that's the way it was ranked, but I could be wrong. And I could have had
and I would only feel like She-Hulk is first, only because
is
it's
shorter.
easier to consume.
Yes.
I mean, it's just you don't have to know as much. Now, the reason why I have not watched this show, and the reason why I have not personally watched House of Dragon, is because I'm not that in depth with the lore of both of those shows.
Right.
But She-Hulk is a little bit easier for me to hop into because I am, for the most part, actually not for the most part, I think I've watched everything MCU up to this point.
Right.
Yeah.
Roman Myers also says this thing that I feel like would I don't
Oh.
I don't know what
Yep.
this means.
Yes. Yes. that
Just
is-
check the mountain that the dwarves are mining in is indeed
It is
Moira.
the mines of Moria, which
Oh, I said
which
Moira.
is, if you
Moira.
remember, you can't go in there. The
Wow.
dwarves got greedy. They dug too deep. And again, I've made the decision because my jam typically is fantasy oriented things.
Yes.
Like I went like, oh shit, I watched the first 2 episodes. I should go back and watch the extended versions to see if they're trying to link these 2 things together. And they are 110% trying to do that. Like they are, all of this is, it does feel a little bit like nostalgia. Hey, do you remember? You don't need it, but this is playing to a crowd of people who watched The Fellowship of the Ring when it
For
came
sure.
out 25
Right.
years ago and saying like, that was fucking awesome, right? Like, and you watched the 4-hour version of it. Dude, check this
So
shit out.
this is
Like,
a
it's like that. It's
fans-
like that every week.
This is like a fans series. Like
I-
maybe not nothing you would introduce to somebody trying to get into the Lord of the Rings lore. You just have to have some background knowledge. What do you think about that? How do you introduce this to somebody that
I think that if you are someone who enjoyed the Lord of the Rings,
Right.
and you enjoyed the Hobbit, and you appreciated the visual, you kind of like having things explained, I think you should watch it. I think if you're going to watch it, give yourself time to like, don't feel like you have to keep up with it every week. You're either going to keep up with it every week but the minute that you're off, you're going to have to say, I'm going to have to watch this, and I'm just going to have to take my time and split it up into 30-minute chunks so I can break down what's being said, because it's a lot to follow. They cover a shitload of ground in each episode. Like,
what do you both give the greatest credit for the show, and then what do you both think the biggest complaint you've either seen or you have about the show is, or gripe, or maybe not a complaint, gripe, something?
I mean,
if you have one. I mean, you don't have to have one.
I have a gripe.
Do it.
Here's my gripe. My gripe is, it does definitely feel like the premise for getting people to watch the show feels a tidge misleading, right? Because it's like,
Yeah.
again, I just kind of went on it. I said, like, do you like Lord of the Rings? Yeah, Doug, I fucking love Lord of the Rings. Great. Do you really like The Hobbit? I mean, it was good. The last one was okay, but yeah, I like The Hobbit. It's a lot of fun. We could watch that too. It's like, great. Here's the deep end of a 14-foot deep pool, and you have to keep this 20-pound rock over your head. You're drowning in deep, like, Lord of the Rings lore. I mean, the Silmarillion is like I'm going to tell you what the version of God is for Middle-earth. And that's like, why the fuck do I need to know that? It's like, because on page 236 of the Two Towers, Gandalf says his name.
Right.
Oh,
Right.
God.
That's it.
Right.
Yep. That's what the Silmarillion is. And so this is a lot of context to have to be leading up to, if you remember the movies, how the Rings of Power got forged and what that means for us going into the saga that is the Lord of the Rings trilogy. Like it's a lot of information to get there. And so that's my gripe, is it does feel like you are it does feel like a little bit of a bait and switch. Just a smidge.
Yeah, and I think on that note too, I think it's hard. I don't know. I think it's really hard to follow Lord of the Rings. Like The Hobbit even stumbled a bit, and that had Peter Jackson. And so I think the thing that's connecting with me about the show is that it is almost, man, it's almost trying to introduce it as its own thing.
Yes.
I think is the best way to put it, which, by the way, I'm totally okay with. Like, I think there are some probably really good stories that Tolkien has in all of the documents that he wrote for Lord of the Rings that kind of get buried. And I think this is a great place to tell them with an overarching narrative.
Yep.
Do I feel like I am not getting everything that I'm seeing in the show? 100%. But I also feel like that's by design, and I just kind of roll with it. I think the only thing that, like, the only mark or like note that I would have at this point is just, I don't know. Honestly, it's just a note that I struggle with Tolkien's storytelling. And I've already covered this a little bit, but it's hard.
Yeah.
It's hard when you do have all this information and you're like, man, I'm really trying to connect with these characters, but I don't feel like I have the time to spend any time with them, to connect with them, because I got to go back to the dwarf mines to learn about the metal that they're going to drill so we can talk to Celebrimbor. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yep.
And obviously that's something that can be rectified by the end of the season by being patient, obviously. But like, it is at a point where like someone was like, oh, like what character was that? And I was like, I only know like 2 character names because there's so many things going on at the same time.
Yeah.
Like, and if I had to pick one story, I would say Galadriel's story.
Galadriel's story is awesome.
That is like the main story that they would want viewers to latch onto. That's my guess. It's pretty straightforward. It's moving in a linear direction. The other ones just kind of feel like we're here and like there's stuff happening. We're not sure what, but stuff's happening.
Yeah.
See you next week. So that's really, I don't know. I'm enjoying it for what it is. Like, I don't think it's a bad show, but you really do got to be in the mind for like, okay, I'm just going to get a lore dump and I'm going to miss some of it, and we're going to keep going.
Yep. I think the other thing is, I think to its credit, I think in addition to the visuals, it's trying its best. It's trying so hard not to have moments in it that people will be able to see and be able to go like, oh shit, you're right. Like for as much exposition as there are these moments where it's trying so hard, like the Mithrils thing. Like it's trying so hard to be like, Mithril, right? Like all of you got this. Like remember that. Like it does feel like it's having just enough. It's like giving you like a huge 5 to 7 course meal, but every plate has one piece on it that you enjoy. Like, and you're like,
such a good.
You need to eat all of this in order to take in the full appreciation. But I gave you garlic green beans on this one, and you like that shit. Like that's absolutely what this is.
That's a great way to phrase it. Yeah. It does. It's so much to eat.
It's so much to eat, but there's going to be something on every plate that you're going to eat first and be able to go like, oh yeah, that's my favorite. Yep. So,
man, good call out, Roman, about confirming that those are the same mines in Fellowship of the Ring that the dwarves are mining. Well, that's great. That's
go through the mines of Moria. And I will also say that this has, again, it scratches my itch because, again, I was in my house. I shared this with the gentleman before, is that I did fake black speak around my house, which is what the language of Mordor is. So I would just...
Is it really?
It's called black
That's
speak.
What they call it?
Oh, yes. Man. Yes. And so I would walk around just fake talking like that in my house, which was a lot of fun when you're alone. And it made me really glad my wife wasn't home because she would have been like, what the fuck are you doing? So yeah. But anyway, That's what we
I
have.
just let y'all get y'all shit off because I know when to stay out the lane. When Michael Jordan's
you're
coming down, when
no,
Pippen and Jordan is,
no. I'm glad that you chimed in because
I'm
I
glad
feel
that you
like
did too.
these fandoms, like these things thrive on new fans. Like
yeah,
they thrive on people
That's true.
being interested. So
I'll
I
be
think your
honest with you.
voice is important.
I am
Yeah,
not
what's
going to
up?
be a new fan of that.
I mean, that makes sense.
It's just a lot for me to get into, and I'm a guy that will watch the Snyder Cut, but there's a lot of lore that
Yeah,
I feel like Harry Potter is something that if you read the books, you read the book, and if
right,
like you watch the movie, you understand it's way different. But
right.
I feel like Lord of the Rings is one of those where you almost have to read the books and watch the shows because
That's how I'm
things that you
feeling.
might miss.
Well, it's the reason why I've started House of the Dragon, but then
Right.
stopped because I was like, I don't know why the fuck I should care about this.
Yeah,
And I
yeah,
feel like Rings of Power has a similar problem, which is it's like if you're gonna ask yourself why I should be watching this, you shouldn't be watching it. Like
yeah.
it definitely
I-
feels like if you have to ask yourself that question right before you hit play on Rings of Power, you're gonna end
Right.
up going like, oh, I don't need to watch it because I'm
mean,
fine with the story
I,
that I understand. I don't need to
yeah.
understand more of it.
Pretty much. Well, and like House of Dragon too. I'm surprised there's so many people talking about it. I'm genuinely surprised, not because I think it's bad. I just everybody said Game of Thrones left such a bad taste in their mouth, and then I'm seeing it trends on Twitter. I see it in some of my other socials, so I'm curious. Maggie and I are probably gonna watch it when it's all done and comes out because I mean, right now, like it is a great time to be a huge nerd and geek. I got my
Yeah.
Star Wars on Wednesday. I got my She-Hulk on Thursday. I got my
Yes.
Lord of the Rings on Friday. Like every week now.
New comics come out on Tuesday.
There you
I
go.
get
At least for a
Star
month.
Wars on Wednesday.
Like She-Hulk will end soon, but like it's a great time. It's a great time.
Absolutely a great time. Gentlemen, that does it for our episode, but we need to get to our section. Anything that you all have to plug this week? Brian.
Hey, check out thelovenerds.com. All of your lifestyle cooking shirt needs.
That's fantastic. Thanks, Brian.
Yeah,
Marcus,
Brian, great job.
What do you have?
Just make sure follow the mantra, never offended, always humble. You know how we get down over here. Stream the music. New music is on the way. Hopefully, we're working on that. Jesus, Soul Tie will be making some new music as well. He's got some fire stuff on the way. So please make sure that you are tuned in, that you are locked in. Like Brian said, although that the comment he made related to the article that was being posted, please make sure you're taking care of your mental health. You know what I mean?
Ooh, yeah.
Super important. We're getting into the colder seasons, which seasonal depression is very real. I for one battle with seasonal depression, and so just start preparing yourselves, get yourselves that light therapy. It's coming. Drink some water and just make sure you're taking care of yourselves, y'all.
100%. Absolutely. I want to plug this podcast. Continue to support us there. The best way to do that is to share us with a friend or leave us a review. We got some big things coming, and so we are very excited. Appreciate everybody sticking with us, but be sure to do those things because they're the most impactful. But gentlemen, we have a 3-step process to success. Brian, what is our first step?
Hey, read a book. Any book. Just read and educate yourself. You will benefit yourself and everyone around you. Read a book.
And we talked about a lot of books in that last segment. So
yeah.
Jump into one of those if you want,
Like,
or maybe pick something lighter. It's up to you.
Also, you don't have to be a completionist. If you start a book and you're like, this Tolkien guy is not for me, put it down. Go read something you're going to enjoy.
Read something else. Yep, absolutely.
Read a book.
Marcus, what is that second step to success?
Second step, drink some water. Today I gave a speech to a class, and you know what happened to me that was so embarrassing? My mouth dried out. Couldn't even get the damn speech out.
Oh.
And you want to know why? I realized as my mouth was drying out and choking in front of these students, I realized I didn't drink enough water today. So guess what I'm doing all day tomorrow? Drinking water.
Is there a particular type of water that you'd like them to drink?
I do like a Fiji because I taste the significant difference when I drink a Fiji. When I'm not drinking water, I do drink bubbler, and bubbler is just the bubbler is the drink of this podcast. Okay, and you find your own flavors.
The official drink.
Find what you like, but I guarantee you will not find a bubbler flavor that will not do you right. Bubbler.
There you go. And the third step to success is, look, y'all, wash your ass. part of taking care of your own mental health is also taking care of your physical health as well. So
Oh,
be
God.
sure to wash your ass. Sometimes all you need is a fresh shower to give you a different perspective. And sometimes you just want to stand in some hot water and stare off into space for an extra amount of time. Do that. But make sure that you wash your ass and take care of yourself.
That's true. Not everything he said is very, very true. So make sure you do that.
Well, that does it for this week's episode of Films in Black and White. We'll be back next week. We'll be talking about Don't Worry, Darling.
Don't worry,
But
darling.
in the meantime and in the between time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love y'all. We appreciate y'all. We'll catch y'all next week.
Yeah, I really got y'all shit off with that Lord of the Rings thing, man.
Yeah, we absolutely
good
got that
Lord.
up.
Y'all lost me at Rings of Talk.